More commentary on this speech. I thought it was a great speech. I thought it very entertaining. It reached out and grabbed that audience, got hold of them. Does Martha MacCallum share my view? She is the host of a great new show called The First 100 Days. Martha, welcome back.
Good Hello there, Stuart. Good to see you again.
I thought he reached out and he got that audience going with him. How about you?
It was interesting when you compare it to the inaugural speech, which was much shorter, stiffer, a little more formal. Many people said it was very dark. This was a speech where I think he's hit his stride a little bit. He's been there for a little bit over a month, and he seemed to be very happy to have a relationship with this crowd. He felt like he had that when he walked in the door. You think about CPAC, Stuart, and you think about the people that they have supported over the years. This is the crowd that wanted Ted Cruz. Yeah. They wanted Rand Paul. They wanted that kind of politician. But he has won them over. And I also was struck at, when I looked at the crowd out there, at the diversity in that crowd. There were, young women. There were African Americans. There were Asian Americans. There were lots of white Americans, as you would expect. But a very interesting crowd in that room. And I also, just one more thing about Bannon. Bannon spoke in these very sort of academic terms, big words, economic nationalism. He talked about deconstructing the administrative system. Today we got the blue-collar billionaire version of those words in a way that everybody could digest and understand.
To me, economic nationalism is America first.
Yes.
To me, deconstructing the administrative state is get that bureaucracy out of here, get the government off my back.
Yeah.
That was the interpretation. But he did not, I don't think he mentioned the border tax.
He didn't.
That surprised me, because that could have moved the market, and the market didn't move at all.
And it's fascinating to talk to folks from Wall Street, which obviously you do a lot, because the border tax is the thing that they are most divided about. They, for the most part, were Hillary Clinton supporters because they felt like she was going to leave them alone, ultimately. They've warmed up to Donald Trump, and they love what has happened to the market since he took over. Because of the rolling back of regulations and the tax cuts and all of that, the border tax is a sticking point, because people just aren't clear on what the impact's going to be on American business.
But you're very much on the inside of this. You know more about politics than I do. Seems to me that the border tax is the sticking point for the whole of tax reform. House Republicans want the border tax. Manufacturers want the border tax. A lot of other people, manufacturers love it.
A lot of companies who are going to have to bring their stuff back across the border, who do manufacture in other places, don't like it. This is going to be an interesting tussle, but as you point out, it all goes into the budget. And you have to have that larger umbrella budget before you can start doing tax reform, and, by the way, before you can start repealing or replacing Obamacare. And President Trump has figured that out. He knows he's got to get that overall budget first, so maybe he didn't want to focus on that today because that's for another day.
Before you leave us, I want to tell the audience that for the first 12 minutes, I think it was 12 minutes, he was railing against the media.
Yeah, I wrote, "Media, too long on media!" Exclamation point, because, he needs to get off this subject. I mean, I know he probably thinks this crowd likes it and they want a little bit of it, but, you often get that feeling when you watch, I think, a President Trump speech where you're kind of like, okay, let's move on,
Well, listen to this, because he's talking about the First Amendment. Roll that tape.
Yep.
They say that we can't criticize their dishonest coverage because of the First Amendment. They always bring up the First Amendment. And I love the First Amendment. Nobody loves it better than me. Nobody. I mean, who uses it more than I do?
He railed against the opposition, which is the media. You think he spent too long doing that?
Well, it did go on for a while, and we did hear about how much he won and how big he won for quite a while as well. And I thought, that the speech improved when he got on to, some of the topics that he was there to talk about. But he can't. I don't think he can help it. I think he wants to enjoy those moments, and
that's interesting.
I just wonder how long that's going to continue.
You're making a judgment about the content of the speech. I'm making a judgment about how good a speech it was. I've stood in front of a few live audiences in my time, and if I could get the crowd going like that, I'd get the crowd going like that.
And you wonder, like I said, he had an obvious good relationship with this crowd. How's that going to feel on Tuesday night when the crowd is Congress, when half the room is sitting and half the room is standing and applauding? I'm going to be fascinated, and we'll be doing that live coverage with Bret Baier on Tuesday night, so that's going to be really interesting to watch.
Well, we think that when he makes that presentation Tuesday night in front of Congress, that's when we'll hear more about tax reform and the border tax and the schedule of getting it all through Congress. Well, we can but hope, because we'd like to hear about it.
That's the idea. Yeah, we'll look forward to it.
I think you've got a show to prepare, so I better let you get away.
Thank you, Stuart. Good to see you as always.
Martha, many thanks indeed. Great to see you. Thanks very much indeed.